Hi, everybody. Welcome to the last day of July. We are going to close it out with somebody you all need to know about. His name is Johnny Crowder. I'm already saying John. I don't know why, because I love me some Johnny. I usually call anybody named Johnny Bag of Donuts, by the way.
No, my sister has called me that before. I will take it.
Okay, cool. Nice. You are the founder of Coke Notes. And I'm very excited about what you're doing because it's all about mental health. And that's the conversation that we've been having throughout the month of July. So I'm happy to be closing out with you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me and reminding me that we have donuts left. My sister got me some for my birthday, and I just remembered that we have a couple left. So you're getting me to them before her.
Yes, I love that. And happy belated birthday. We were talking about a birthday parade for you. So if Johnny just decides to come out and say, I want to have a parade, I want everybody to drive to this parade. We should be celebrated. Now, you live in Tampa, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you from here originally?
Yeah, nobody believes that. So I grew up in Oldsmar, and if you guys don't know where that is, it's like my backyard was Tampa Bay, and I had no houses on either side. It was like my house was on stilts in the swamp, so it's like just about as Tampa as you can get. And then I lived in Orlando for school because I went to UCF for psychology. Then I lived in LA because I used to teach improv comedy, believe it or not. And then I moved back to Tampa because honestly, I've been to almost every state. I've been to a few hundred cities. Tampa has a lot of redeeming qualities.
Yes, it does. And I moved here from New York and I love it here. Never going back. Not to say that I don't love my New York.
Right.
Never going back. Tampa Bay is amazing. So I do know Oldsmar because I had an office in Oldsmar on Pine Avenue. And when I first opened it up with the pediatric practice I was running, I used to call it Mayberry.
You called the street that, the practice that, or the town?
Oldsmar, yeah. I did. And now it's grown even so much since then. But
oh, yeah.
There were a lot of weird rules about business. And I was like, I am literally in Mayberry. I was just fresh out of New York then. So New York to Oldsmar, a little shocking for me.
Polar opposites.
So enough about that. Let's talk about you. I want to know all about why you started this amazing company called Coke Notes.
Oh, my why is the same as every entrepreneur. So if you ever see someone who like makes a popcorn maker, they're like, I was so sick of all the popcorn makers out there or whatever. And that's kind of where I am with mental health. I had tried so many different mental health resources, and none of them felt like they were comprehensive enough, that they actually helped me without doing all the work for me, which is really what I was looking for a while. And honestly, it was revelation after revelation about the idea that it's not only me who's experiencing these things, and it's not only me who would benefit from this specific type of help.
So I love that. And that is the rule of thumb for the entrepreneur. There's a problem, we provide a solution. There's something that's missing, we provide the whole to fill it in. But I'm sure that there's a personal story that I selfishly would like to hear.
Yeah, so I'm going to truncate it. If you want, if someone's listening and they're like, I want to know more, a quick Google search, you could probably find out a fair amount. If you watch my TED Talk, that's like the longer version, if you have that kind of time, 18 minutes while you're washing dishes or something. But I grew up in a home that had, abuse and alcohol in it, and it really wasn't the prime environment for a developing brain. And I started really having trouble with a number of different diagnoses at a younger age and a lot of behavioral health issues. But I wasn't really diagnosed because I was so afraid of the words, right? Like I was so afraid of schizophrenia. Like, oh, I wouldn't touch that word with a 10-foot pole for so long. And I recognized that, some of my tendencies were maybe reminiscent of OCD, like I wouldn't step on cracks, and I stopped touching my food, I stopped touching doorknobs, I stopped touching people for a number of years. So no handshakes or high fives or hugs or anything like that. And I think part of me knew that it could be OCD. And another part of me said, well, don't let yourself know that for sure. So I was trying to bury my head in the sand for a long time. And after a behavioral outburst, to put it lightly, in high school, I started having to attend mandatory counseling. And that's when I really, heard the words like bipolar. I don't have bipolar. And I started like reacting very viscerally. But I was in the IB program at Hillsborough High School at the time, and you could choose psychology as an elective. So I took 2 years of college level psych in high school, and the more I learned, the more equipped I felt, and the more comfortable I felt in therapy because I felt like I was actually making progress. So fast forward, I go to school, UCF for psychology. I start doing mental health advocacy through NAMI. And this is all the while I'm in treatment, I'm going to therapy, I'm taking medication, I'm reading all these self-help books and downloading all these mental health apps. And I mean, I was like, my full-time job was trying to get healthier, because people don't believe me, but there was a point where like I said, I couldn't touch people. I had difficulty making eye contact, communicating clearly. And now people think that magically everything is different, but it's not. I still work really hard at those things. It's just momentum. After 10, 15 years of really investing in progress, I can use that momentum to continue living a healthier life. And it's day by day.
Yes. So I love that. I love the story behind every company, because once I know that there's a personal mission behind a company, I know that it's got a bigger purpose. So your company has a very big purpose, because there's a lot of people out there that are suffering. I'm sober 25 years. I was suicidal. And when I was 21 years old, I tried to leave this earth a few times. And I've written a whole book about it. So it's like it's all out there already. This is not the time to get into it. But I wrote it about when I was 25 years sober, because I didn't even know how much trauma I had suffered through. And, as soon as you said I didn't step on any cracks, I was like, that was me.
Wow.
Check. But it really, until I put it out there, because, I run 2 businesses. People didn't know me in this business world as somebody that was suffering at one time and still working very hard on my mental health. But I saw that in the business community, it was a much needed time for me to open up and start talking about it, so we could do what we can to remove that stupid word stigma.
Yeah.
I'm really over that word, actually. Can we think of another?
Dude, that's a huge part of, I love being in these like business meetings now and like at conferences, because before I was, I'm covered in tattoos. I listen to death metal. I collect sneakers. Like, I'm a very atypical CEO. Like, when I'm sitting down and talking to these people about leadership, they kind of look at me like, what does this guy know? And I look at them and I say, what I know is that you're judging yourself, and you think that power is not sharing your story, and you think power is having a stone face and keeping it together and being that fearless leader. And I try to remind people of exactly what you said. Like, you saw that sharing could benefit more people than just yourself.
Absolutely.
And that's what good leaders do. They think about what is for the greater good of my employees, of our culture, of the company. And oftentimes telling the truth is for the greater good.
Well, for myself, I used to go in and restructure medical practices as part of my consulting business. And I would leave these practices knowing that the physician that was running it was really just suffering from some type of their own mental health issues. And that's why they were yelling at the staff. And that's why the staff was never getting a raise. And that's why, and it was all just compounded. So, because when it comes to speaking to anybody about leadership today, me too, I get to unveil to make them feel more comfortable. And, I put chapter 2, it says I smoked crack. Like, I know I work with neurosurgeons, doctors, psychiatrists, but I want you to know that there was a time in my life that I was at the bottom. And if I can do it, you can do it. And you're absolutely right. Like being there for the greater good is really what this is what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be helping others. So I want to talk about Coke Notes because I feel like I could talk to you for 6 hours about this. So tell me what sparked this idea.
So I wish it was like, oh, I magically came up with it, or I was just such a genius that I wish that was my story, but really it was frustration. So what I had done is I was using, like I said, a bunch of different mental health resources, and I was reading about intervention, like surprising the brain, and I was like, I want to write sticky notes and leave them like in my bathroom mirror or hidden in my workout shoes or whatever. And the goal was throughout my day, like I go to brush my teeth, I look in the mirror and I see a note that says something that makes me think differently.
I
So
am enough.
what's that?
Like I am enough.
Well, even more like complicated kind of like stop and think kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
So they were, I can't think of a good example right now. They were much more casual because they were just for me back then, but they were really things that were designed to like make me answer a question or something, or kind of go through an exercise. And so I'd have a couple of sticky notes here and there, but I started getting frustrated when I would realize, like I would clean my bathroom once a week and I would go to clean my mirror and I would be like, oh, I haven't even noticed the sticky note for the past 4 days. How did that happen? I put it there so I would look at it, and here I am ignoring it for 4 days straight. And I was reading about habituation, which is when your brain just gets so accustomed to stimulus that it doesn't relay it to your conscious mind. It just figures, oh, we've already processed this, so we're not even going to bother you with this. We're just going to toss it to the back. And I was frustrated because I thought I found something that was going to help me, but then my own brain was fighting against me, and I can't just, you know how you can't tickle yourself?
Mm-hmm.
It's very difficult to surprise yourself as well. So I thought, I wonder if I could surprise somebody else. So I texted 32 people in my phone book, because that's as many people as you can text at once, or at least it was at the time. So I sent a message to 32 people, and it all said the same thing. So it was one message to 32 people, and half the people responded like, whoa, how did you know? That was so relevant to what's happening with me right now, and here's why, and I really needed this. The other half of the people said, whoa, that totally doesn't apply to me right now, but a week ago this happened, or in 3 weeks I'm really nervous about this thing. And I realized that the brain kind of justifies and tries to like stretch new stimulus to fit your own life circumstance. And that's when I realized that the same message might be able to help a ton of people based on their brain's interpretation of the message.
Yeah, I'm digging this because, I am one to send out random text messages pre-pandemic, during the pandemic, and probably post-pandemic. Just like, I'm thinking of you, I love you, just some kind of support, because we're so busy in our days, especially when you're running business and whatever, you have like a life. That we, whatever, like, you have a life. You really do forget that there are people out there that are suffering. I mean, I've known a ton of people, especially in business, that have lost their children to an opioid overdose, and these are people that are like, they're running big business and they don't necessarily feel vulnerable enough yet to talk about it. And I think that, having more of the companies like the one that you've started just opens that up for it's like a gentle way in to having a bigger discussion. Because like, I don't know what I would do if I didn't have, look, I'll show you how many books. Here's my meditation book. Here's another, right? I got some intuitive cards over here. It's a lot of work being mentally well.
Oh yeah.
So you sending out these messages to people just to let them know, that you're going to be okay. More than that, right? I mean, I know it's more than that because I've gotten those notes myself, and they're very complex, which leads me to how you have on your website positive psychology, and that each note is reviewed by a doctor. So tell me about that, or a therapist, or whoever it is.
Yeah, so a lot of tools that I used before Coke Notes had those roles flipped. So at Coke Notes, we have a peer. Um, let me start the other way. So at other resources, they have all the content is created by doctors, and then they have a handful of peers review it. And the way that feels as a user is often very stiff and clinical and cold and impersonal because, hey, they're doctors. They're writing what they know. And I'm not saying that what they're writing is incorrect, but I'm saying that the way that it feels makes me not want to use the tool. It doesn't feel relevant. And I can't really stretch it to fit my own life because it feels like a different dialect. And so at Coke Notes, we wanted to flip that. So we have peers with lived experience who are writing this. And then we have the review. So the edit, the approval, the combing through it to make sure that it's trauma informed or uses the right verbiage or is technically psychologically correct or it's proved on or it's based on proven psychological principles. We leave that round, all of that editing to our clinical oversight panel. So these are therapists, clinicians, or social workers. These are people who have the letters behind their name. And I'm a peer support advocate. I am a speaker. I'm a mental health advocate. And I'm not Dr. Crowder, right? So we need people on our team who can verify that what we're saying actually has a factual psychological basis. And I think flipping the order of operations so that peers are writing and the review is performed by these clinicians, make sure that by the time the text makes its way to the user, it still feels human.
I think we need more peers and less doctors. I'm the doctor whisperer. I'll go out of business. I've said this 9,000 times on my show. I do think that we need more of that because the relatability comes between the peers. There's a huge reason why 12-step recovery programs work is one person identifying with another, and it's not run by any professionals, and it's over 80 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I don't care. I'm sure you feel the same way. Maybe you don't, but I think you do. I don't care what gets you the help that you need, as long as you're getting the help that you need, right?
Yeah.
I don't care if it's Buddha, if it's 12 steps, if it's a psychiatrist, if it's a doctor, if it's medication, it's not medication. You got to climb Machu Picchu, I'm down. Do it.
Yeah.
But I think that we do need more peers. So I like, and that was, peer-based support, every text written by real people with real problems. Because that is really, community is just so vital. And we, as maybe what some might see as a misfit, without the MD behind our names, we have real life experience.
Yeah, I think one of the most common misconceptions that I hear about Coke Notes is, well, are you just texting people like smile or something, or be happy today or something like that? To which I always answer, that sure as heck wouldn't help me. So I would never in my right mind
Right.
send it to someone else. But
Just go outside and get some exercise.
Another thing that people often get confused is they'll say, well, why don't I just text my loved one every morning something positive? And my response is, I don't think that you are a weak person, but I do think that you're a person, which makes it kind of dangerous, because if that loved one doesn't respond to you for a couple weeks, are you really going to do it every day? Or if they respond with something negative, are you really going to keep it up? And if you do, will that person feel so alienated and bothered by the context of your interpersonal relationship that they won't actually retain or engage with what you're sending them? And that's really what Coke Notes is trying to do, is to be that third party. It's completely anonymous. It's completely confidential. We might text your loved one something that you texted them, but the difference is we are not their mom. And that's a very important distinction.
Well, I was trying to sneak in the just go outside and exercise, because a lot, people that loved me when I was in my depression would say things like that to me because
Mm.
they just didn't know. They didn't know that, like, if it was that easy, that's what I would have done.
And it's not, here's what gets lost in translation a lot. Those people aren't wrong.
No, they're not wrong.
Exercise can be great and supremely helpful. The problem is the verbiage, like the way it's worded, which is kind of one of the things that we specialize in, and also who it's coming from. It's not that it is unhelpful advice. It's that often it's either missing detail, or it's missing tact, or it's missing that unbiased third party feel that makes it feel less like a personal attack. Because imagine my mom says it to me, I might think, well, you think I'm lazy, I'm just some bum sitting around. But if some third party resource says it to me, I don't take it like that. And it's all in my perception. Even if you say something wonderful, if I perceive it incorrectly, you did damage.
Well, you're 100% right. I mean, I can speak from my own personal experience. I'm quite sure that after spending tens of thousands of dollars on me going to rehabs, and then, when I was 21, I got better for free because I had peers and, a therapist and the right help, and they didn't have to spend all that money sending me away. I'm quite sure. And when they think, what did I do wrong? What part did I play? We need people that are not that close to us.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I like to tell people, like, I'll tell my stepson something 65 times. He'll hear it from a perfect stranger and think it's the best idea ever. It's the same concept.
Oh, yeah.
And your notes are really, really great. I have to say that I'm super proud that you're doing this. I love that you're a young, hip, cool entrepreneur, because we don't want like cheese ball, especially when it comes to mental health. We want somebody that, like, that's it, So is there anything that you want to share with the audience before we go today? Because I am thinking about their attention span.
Before we go, like before we hop off?
Before we hop off, before we start a parade for your birthday, whatever.
So I think I'll just make a couple quick points. So first of all, I want to say, if you are listening to this and you are responsible for other people, whether you're a leader, or you're a parent, or you are a volunteer in an organization where you serve people, or if you literally work in service, I just want to let you know that it is not, this isn't completely on your shoulders to support other people's mental and emotional health, because that can really hurt you if you think that you're their savior, that it's your 100% sole responsibility. That's what resources exist for. Cope Notes is one of many resources out there that are designed to help insulate you from feeling 100% of that burden. No human being is equipped enough to lift everyone around them without help. So I just encourage you, if you are responsible for other people, please don't think that it is you or nothing. It's you and a giant network of organizations and other people who are here to help you carry that. So please don't beat yourself up. Don't break your back, and understand that there are people out there who care, and they want your loved ones or your employees or your students to be just as healthy as you want them to be. So that's point number one. And I think point number two is, if you're listening to this and you think this doesn't apply to me, I've always been very mentally healthy, and everyone I know has always been very mentally healthy. I just want to say, in the most tactful way I can, you're super wrong, because you have a brain inside of your skull, and that brain needs just as much care as your ankles and your pinky toes and your entire body. So if you're listening to this and you think Cope Notes isn't for me, it's not relevant, I want to respectfully challenge that and encourage you to at least go to the website. We have a podcast. There's tons of videos and articles that you can find online. And if you still don't think it applies to you, reach out to me and say hi, because I'd love to meet you either way.
I love it. Well, Johnny, happy birthday. I want you to get those donuts before your sister eats them. And I appreciate what you're doing for the mental health community. We need more people to come out of their little shells and share that they too might have suffered from some type of mental health issue in their life, because we are all here to help each other. So thanks for being here today. I will have all the show notes and information of how everybody can check out Cope Notes, but I highly recommend them. I think they're fabulous. Thank you, Johnny.
Thank you so much.
So don't forget, if you mention that you have seen the show or listened to the podcast, Thai Technology, 3 months for free.